So on your TikTok, you particularly stood out to me because you're sharing a lot of content that's really beneficial to people that are on their healing journey. And I really want to talk about some of the things that you share on your TikTok. So, first of all, something that stood out to me is that you talk about something called the circle of control.
Mhm.
And I wanted to hear a little bit more about that and like pick your brain on it. What does that mean for you?
Circle of control pretty much are the things that are under your control, circumstances that you can change, right? For I don't know if you've heard of this one, but it's like you can't change the world, but you
Mhm.
can definitely change the way you see the world. So I took that very to heart because in my early 20s, I was always very frustrated because I'm like, why are things not going the way I want them to go? And what I started noticing was like the more I try to control the things that are out of my control, the crazier my life gets and the more out of control I feel. So through my healing process and my growth and the mistakes and the tragedies and whatnot, I started to understand that as long as I control my reaction to everything and I'm aware of the things that I can control, life just seems to get so much easier. And it's just everything else can just flow and just let it be. So I did this for like the sanity, like my peace of mind, my sanity, my power to create, and my power to really just love and understand who I am rather than understand who everyone else is.
I love that last point because you are so right. It's like, how can we understand ourselves more versus trying to make everyone else understand? And it's like, that really is where the key is, right? Because we
Mhm.
have the power in how we react. We can't control what people say to us, and that's easier said than done, though. I'm really trying to practice that too. But you're so right. I love that so much. And just also to backtrack a little bit, for you, what kind of set you on this journey of like really delving into understanding more of these like I don't what would you call them like mindset or
Mhm.
tools, coping skills, stuff like that, or diving more into like a spiritual or healing journey? What for you like triggered that change? Because I know if for everyone it's different, or some people call it an awakening as well. But for you, when did that journey start?
It started about 4 years ago when my life completely changed because of the relationship that I was in with my current boyfriend, with my mom, understanding their traumas
Mhm.
and understanding that I was not compassionate at all. Like if you're having a problem, I don't care. It affects me. And when I started to ask myself, well, why does it affect me? And am I wrong or are they wrong? That's when I started to become extremely aware of my responses, of my mindsets, of really understanding like, am I the toxic one or are they the toxic ones?
Mhm.
And in order for me to continue to have a healthy relationship with the people around me, but most importantly with myself, I had to make changes. And those changes started slowly. The healing process is not pretty. It's very ugly yet beautiful in its own way. And the more you embrace the healing or the change and the things that you don't like about yourself, the better things get. Because this is what I learned. There's things that I don't like about myself, but they don't keep me from loving me. And in order to further love me, I need to be compassionate and understand that for the better of me, these things need to change. Now, how do you change them? Just become aware of the things first. Start tracking your responses, start tracking your reactions, and start deeply questioning why am I responding to this? And just reflect upon it.
How do we learn to trust our inner voice again? And how can we understand where it's coming from? And that compassion really stops a lot of negativity in its tracks, right?
Mhm.
And for you, like, what was your experience when you started to listen to your inner voice? Like, what did that feel like? Because I know for me, like, it almost feels like really weird once you start really like going inward and trying to understand why do you say these things in your mind, or why are you quick to go to this or go to that? So what was that like for you?
Oh my God, it's like two people living in your head. It's the current version of you and the future version of you. And it gets to the point where that little voice in your head starts to become your friend. It starts to guide you. And it's crazy because when I was really in like a deep connection with that inner voice, it was really like a best friend. Like, how can I explain this? Like, I had this experience. So I live in Las Vegas, and I remember that we were at a casino, we were at Cosmo, and we were walking down, we were going to a bar, my boyfriend and and I tend to be very dominant in terms of like, I'm guiding, this is where I want to go, and just follow me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the big issue within my relationship. What I started noticing was like, he was starting to pull my hand in terms of guidance. And the old me was like, hold on, like, ask me if I want to go. But then I had this inner voice that pretty much told me, like, hey, let him guide you. He's trying to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately had that mindset shift, like, oh crap, like let me be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like the inner voice conversations that are happening, where first you become aware of that little voice, then you start asking like, well, what are you trying to say? And then you start learning it, and then change starts to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially like what you were saying, that it's like even with your partner, you started to notice the change. Because I feel like, especially at least like in our experience, being in a relationship, it's almost really difficult to allow your vulnerability to live, right? And allow somebody to support and guide you. And I feel like, at least for me, like it's a defense mechanism where it's like, no, no, and that inner part of you doesn't want to just like let them lead. And sometimes it's part of it is also surrendering, and I feel like that's also the hardest part, right? Have you experienced like the struggle with surrendering? I know I really struggle with that.
Yeah, girl, I did. I'm the oldest, I'm first gen.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been in control. Like I've always had managerial positions where I'm in lead, not because I want to, but it's because what makes me feel safe, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I've always been into. So in order for me to surrender, it had to start from like everything. So I quit my job as a manager. I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. Like I'm taking so much responsibility. I want to enter my soft era life. So let's start by releasing responsibility that I don't necessarily need, and taking responsibility where I can take it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot more softer on me. So that meant quitting my job. That meant allowing my boyfriend to take care of expenses for a few months, taking a little vacation, setting myself up for those things. And slowly, I started to feel comfortable by not being in charge, because I gave myself the opportunity to experience it. At the end of the day, I knew that if it didn't feel safe, I could quickly get another job that made me feel empowered, and I can quickly put myself in a situation where, again, I was in charge. But giving yourself that opportunity to experience what is scary to you is really when you start to grow and you start to learn more about you. Like, yeah, I actually, by nature, I am a controlling person, or I am a person that loves to be in charge. And that's okay, as long as you know that that's what you love. But it's also about putting yourself through the uncomfortable situations to understand that better.
Oh, yes, so true. Because, and this is something I have to tell myself a lot, is like the mantra that uncomfortable doesn't mean unsafe. That like
Mhm.
discomfort simply means that there's growth happening, simply means that there's something to understand there. And that knowing that discomfort is sometimes what we need to get that little bit of a push on whatever
Mhm.
journey we're on, whether it's slowing down or picking up. Because,
Yeah.
I feel like right now I'm in the mode where I'm like trying to pick up and like go forward and get more of that, not control in a bad sense, but just personal discipline, if that makes sense, in a
Yeah.
healthy way and being productive. I wanted to talk a little bit about the concept of creating a new reality, because I know you also talk about that quite a bit. And for a lot of us, I know that there's a lot of misconception between like the idea or like the theory of like manifesting things or creating a new reality, stepping into a new life. And I feel like a lot of times a lot of mass media tries to kind of sell you, if you just think about this, then you're gonna get it. And
Uh-huh.
it's like, well, not really. Like manifesting doesn't really work that way. So, and I know you know quite a bit about that, so I would love to hear like your take on it.
Oh my God, that's one of my favorite topics, and I'm always growing my knowledge within there. So my point of view as to how the overall non-educated world receives it, they receive it in a very witchy vibe.
Mm.
Like that's forbidden. Like no, no, no. Like Jesus is the way and things like that. But to be honest with you, I am a believer of Jesus. I have my religion,
Mhm.
but this is what a story that resonates with me. And I want to share with you guys so that you guys can understand it too. So there was a man that was drowning, right?
Mhm.
And he was drowning, and there was a person on a boat, and he threw him a lifesaver. And the person in the ocean that he didn't know how to swim was like, no, 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 don't help me. God is going to come and he's going to rescue me.
Mhm.
Then a helicopter comes by and they send someone down to pick him up, and he refuses the help. He's like, no, 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 God is gonna come help me. He said it, when we're in need, he's gonna come and he's gonna rescue us. So then this person dies because he didn't
Mhm.
want to get help, and God didn't come down and pick them out of the water. So when he's up with God or the universe or the higher power, the man asks, why didn't you help me? You said you were going to help me. It's in the Bible. And God responds, I sent you a lifesaver. It was a
Mhm.
boat. I sent you a person in a helicopter, and you refused my help. So what
Mhm.
would you like me to do? That was up to you. So what I think is that all of these tools around us, as long as they resonate with us, let's use them. What resonates with me is neuroscience mixed with spirituality.
Mhm.
So what that means is in manifestation, what has really linked to me is the quantum field. And it's in a lot of books. The quantum field is called different things. If you read the book Women Who Run with the Wolves, it's
Mhm.
called Rio Abajo Rio. And it is a place where you get to be with, that you come into in your awareness, in your soul,
Mhm.
and you become one with that source. People call it source too, right? With oneness, source, the universe. That's a realm of possibilities, infinite amount of possibilities. The way you get there so you can manifest the possibility that you want is by doing the inner work, doing your shadow work, by meditating, by being clear on what you want and not being afraid to ask for the things you want. If you guys want to know how to get to that quantum field, the way I love to get to it is by meditation. I love to do guided meditations. And before I meditate, I set the intention like, God, universe, I really want to start working for myself, but I don't know how to get there. Please bring to me the tools that are going to help me to become my own boss. And kid you not, with the inner work, with the spiritual journey, with the healing, in 6 months, I became my own boss. And I was nearly there to make the same salary that I used to make as a
Mhm.
manager. And I did it on my own. So
Wow.
manifestation means aligned action and being able to put yourself in that mindset shift, identify what's keeping you back, and just releasing the fear and just embracing whatever comes your way.
I love like your perspective on that because honestly, like I haven't heard it from anyone else, like speaking at least. A lot of people think they're like, oh yeah, if I want this, I just have to think about it. And it's like, no, it's exactly what you said. What aligned action are you actually doing and working on and looking inwards, working through all those shadows and understanding more of yourself and taking the action, I think is definitely like the key part that a lot of us miss or a lot of us are struggling with. And I also saw that you did talk a lot about the book Becoming Supernatural.
Yeah.
I'm currently reading it. It has blown my mind for sure.
Right?
Yes. And honestly, like, and I know I feel like I've tried to say this to people and I feel like they don't understand me, right? Is that I've only read maybe like 50 something. It's pretty long, right? I've only left like read 50 something pages, and truthfully those first pages have already helped my life so much because I've been doing my best to actually make them reality and do them. And simply just having the explanation of what the eternal moment or the present moment is, and how your energy can transmute whether to the past or the future, and how you have no energy left in the present,
Yeah.
it really made me realize that because I was always here, I had nothing left presently. Like, I really had nothing, And it wasn't until that I was reading that book and starting to understand a little bit about the power that we really have to make aligned action to change our reality. I honestly, during the darkest parts, thought that I was really just stuck there, and it feels so like claustrophobic and stuck, but it's because all of this aligned action wasn't even close to being made reality, if that makes sense.
No, you didn't even know what aligned action you needed to
Mm-hmm.
take. Like, I don't even know what to do. I don't know where to start. And it's
Mm.
just about starting.
Yeah, it's like with anything. Yeah, for sure. I did want to hear a little, for anyone who doesn't know much about it. Can you explain, like, in your understanding, what the quantum field or quantum reality is?
Oh my God.
I know it's complicated.
It's complicated. Here, the way I believe it feels, I don't think I have a visual
Yeah.
as to what it is, but how it feels. It really feels like nothing, but at the same time, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like to lay down, and I'm going to share another dream. I had a dream. I'm a very spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
In my healing process, I, for some reason, was stuck on what is my gift? Why am I here? What is my
Mm-hmm.
purpose? What is my gift? And I feel like during those 3 months, I was very in tune with like not the quantum field, but with source, with the universe, with everything. I
Mm-hmm.
had this dream, and my dreams are always very vivid. And usually they say that you dream of places where you've been. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I dream of places where I've never been.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this dream where I was sleeping, and I came up to a tall bearded man, and I asked him, I'm like, what is my gift? I need to know. Like, I can't move on from this healing process until I know.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you're clairvoyant.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately woke up. Like, it was crazy. Immediately woke
Mm-hmm.
up, and I'm like, okay, clairvoyant. I've never heard that word.
Mm-hmm.
I went on Google, of course, and I Googled it. And it means to have a clear vision, that I'm capable of having a clear vision.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you develop your gifts, maybe you're able to see, with your third eye.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe my third eye is pretty open. So when I want to go into the quantum field, or when I'm able to do it, I sit down in my bed
Mm-hmm.
and I relax. My body pretty much turns off, but something in my mind is running, and it feels like my mind is awake but my body is sleeping. And the way that becoming supernatural describes it is, it's that point where you're about to fall asleep but you don't, and you release control of your thoughts, and you let your mind run, and you're just in an empty place, but at the same time it feels very peaceful and full of just good vibes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's such a hard feeling to describe for sure if you've never done it. And I
Yeah.
feel like especially if you read Becoming Supernatural, you'll be like, "What? Like this exists? Like what do you mean you can be everything and nothing at the same time? Connected to everything but connected to nothing?" Because it's literally like you said, it's the space between, right? And I know
Yeah.
for myself, like one of the most profound experiences that I had being, I guess if you want to call it the quantum field or realm, is I have a cousin who I shout out a lot, but it's because he really started me on my spiritual journey.
Mhm.
He's a spiritual healer, he's a shaman,
Mhm.
and it was my first ever healing session with him. And towards the end, we did a section where I lay down and he's playing the shamanic drums over my head, and I've already done a good an hour, 2 hours of like heavy breathing, processing trauma, facing fears, like just so much like inner work that I was out of it. I literally got completely out of it. I was not awake. I did not fall asleep, but I lost, I guess you want to say, consciousness to my present surroundings. And
Mhm.
after I heard him like beat the drum, and then I woke up and I was like, oh, hey, and then he was like, how was your trip? And I was like, wait, what do you mean? You know, and he was like, you weren't asleep and you weren't awake and you were talking. And I was like, what? And I realized, I was like, wait, but you're right. I don't feel like I fell asleep at all. And that's really what it was. And that at that age, I didn't know what that was, you know. For me, I was just like, wow, that was a really good meditation, as it was, you know. But that was the first time I realized like the power of our minds. And from
Mhm.
there, it just went downhill. I mean, uphill, right? But like downhill, because that really sparks your like, let's get deep into the power of your mind, you
Yeah.
know?
And then also this to people that are trying to manifest. You know that term of be careful what you wish for?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for me, I've always wanted to become a mature person. I want to become knowledgeable. I keep facing situations that are really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've understood is that depending on what you want to manifest, you're gonna go through the hard situations to mold you into that thing or that person that you want to manifest.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard. So if you guys are manifesting and it's like, this is not working, my life is going downhill. No, 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 wait. You're gonna go back uphill. Embrace whatever is going through, go through the feelings, whatever it is, pain, hurt, betrayal, allow it,
Mm-hmm.
because you're really just shredding that outer skin so you can just bloom into the person that you need to be to manifest the things that you want in your life. And that means you're going to lose friends. That means that you're going to lose everything that is holding you back from becoming that better version of who you wish to be. And that's what happened to me. I lost friends. I lost, the everyday communication with my parents and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And although it's sad and it hurts, I've loved the person I am today with the relationships that I was able to change to be this person. I
Yeah.
left the city. I moved to my
Mm-hmm.
city. I left the corporate world. It's like, oh, like 3 years ago, it's not the same person.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
a
okay.
total transformation, like completely. And it's just, I love what you said because I think that's important for everyone on their healing journeys to listen and hear what you're saying as well. Is like sometimes when we're at the darkest point of our healing journeys and we're really suffering and in pain and confused, it's like it's really easy to just sit there and be like, there's nothing good coming for me, or why am I suffering so much, or why this, why that. And it's kind of like if you shift your perspective, like you said, if you make a shift and realize that that is happening for you, that there is a purpose behind it, that maybe that's what you needed to prepare to receive or truthfully appreciate and I don't know, just make reality what you really wanted, that you needed to go through that. Because I always tell people, I'm like, I might have or I might have become completely housebound and struggle with panic disorder and agoraphobia, but I know every single day I'm making a conscious choice to get better. And underlying even the darkest moments, I always had a voice telling me that I was going to get through this, like without fail. I know I'm going to get through this. And maybe because my true inner desire is to live a life with complete and utter freedom, with like the most free soul to live and explore and connect with people and heal people and work with children. Maybe that's why I'm going through one of the most difficult things, which is learning how to process your nervous system and learning how to recenter yourself, learning how to do all of these things. Maybe that's why. So it's like, how can you shift your perspective if you're going through a really tough time right now? You know, and just to close out, I also did want you to have like a space to share, if you were to give advice to someone that's on that darker side of their healing journey, what would you say to them and how could you instill hope in them?
I would say get up. Get up, because the longer you cry, the longer you're just going to be in the worst state of your mind. Take control of your situation. Don't wait to be rescued, because no one will come to rescue you. So if you're feeling sad, Google, why am I depressed? It's to that point where you need to start asking, why am I feeling this way? And
Mm-hmm.
you're going to start getting ideas, and then you're going to start to make connections, and then you're going to start getting the courage to make the changes needed. So don't allow yourself to be in that negative state for too long. Become your own hero, because you only have you.
I love it. So perfect, so perfectly put and so perfectly true. It's just like, yeah, just take the first step, do
Yeah,
something, take the first step. And you're right, we're our own heroes and nobody is coming for us and we can do it. So, yes,
exactly.
yes, yes. Where can people find you and where can people support you and listen more? And yeah, where can people find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on TikTok. Honestly, I have a lot going on in my life, so I haven't been able to do YouTubes or things like that. But go to my TikTok. I always put good stuff there as it comes to me, as I'm able to break it down into better terms. So my TikTok is at the Anna Banuelos, and I usually host webinars or podcasts like these with other creators,
Mhm.
and I put them on there too if you guys want to listen more about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. And I can't wait for everyone to hear our episode and to support you and follow you too. And thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, girl, for the space. I really appreciate you.